I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello everybody, welcome back to E20 Zone TV. Hope you're all having a good Tuesday wherever you are on this planet. I've been a busy boy today, day of rest, but not a day of rest of West Ham. I've done a little space earlier, very, very interesting. You get your idiots on certain things like screenshotting shit, but you know what? You're going to make me famous, baby. Anyway, enough of that. I'm here to talk about Craigie Dawson. What can I say? Craig Dawson looks like he's on his way out of West Ham. He's heading north where he wants to be with his family, and that is to Wolverhampton Wanderers, which is a bit of a shame. To a point. I won't lie. He's been a good servant for West Ham. Do you know what I mean? Should he go? Yeah, he should. I agree. He should go. He's done his time at West Ham. He's been a good player for us for the amount of money we spent. And let's be honest, he's overachieved at West Ham massively. But it will be a shame. He's been a great servant. He's been good at like corners and set pieces and everything for us, and scored some key goals for us. Obviously, the goal in Lyon will always be remembered by all of us. That got us on our way to a victory. And yeah, he's going to go up there. Wolves are also looking at another player that has not been identified yet, which it could be any number of a few, like Ben Johnson, Lanzini's been mentioned, even Pablo Fornells has been mentioned also, which is a bit of a shocker to me. But it is a shame. It is a shame. Who's the replacement? I will hand that over to the chat shortly to ask who the replacement is. So get in your replacements for Craig Dawson. Moving on to further news that El Nesyri, or El Nesyri, as you like to put it, for Seville. That man has come back up again every transfer window. And for me, he would be a good asset and a good player for West Ham, but it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's come out today that he doesn't really want to. He doesn't want the move, and West Ham need to let this go with him. I can see the same thing happening again with the Jesse Lingard situation all over again, chasing a player down who doesn't really want to leave and come to our club. Now, if he don't want to be here, don't want to be here. It's as simple as that. We do need a striker at this club. Right, we're lacking goals. We're lacking a different threat. El Nesyri would have been a good signing to a point, but it's the same old cliche. You're going to be hoofing balls into the box for a player, and we're just not that sort of team. Like we're better on the ground, and we need a fast player, someone who can get in behind a defence. And El Nesyri is not that man. He really isn't. So for me, I think West Ham are doing the right thing by letting this one go. If he doesn't want to know, then obviously we need to move on to bigger and better things. So let's start off with the old Craig Dawson replacement. If Craig Dawson was to go, who's the replacement for him? Now, there has been links to a few players. Michael Keane at Everton is one. Obviously, we've just signed a Brazilian. Or, and there is a strong possibility of this, we don't sign no one. And we go with like the four of Kehrer, Abona, Zuma and Aguerd. If that is the case, West Ham are playing four at the back, and they're not going to be playing this three at the back anymore. We can't go for Michael Keane. I'm sorry. That's a massive step down. He's been at Everton. He got sent off against us last season in the 2-1 win for us. It's not the right move for me. It really ain't. Anyone who's got any comments, put them in the comment section below, and I will get to them. But West Ham do need players, and we definitely need, as E. Davis says here, we need fullbacks. 100%. We need a left back at this club. That is a definite, straight away. I don't understand what the problem is to try and find a left back on this planet. But West Ham just cannot find a left back. But I see other clubs going out and finding left backs quite easily. Do you know what I'm saying? Who are of a better standard of what we've got right now. So West Ham need a left back at this club. That's the first thing. The right back situation, I think Kafal stays now. I don't know why, but I've just got this funny feeling that Kafal's just going to end up staying at the club. Now, if he does, then you've got sort of Kafal, Ashby, if he's still here by the end of the window. You've also got Kehrer for right back slot. So I don't think West Ham might go for a right back. If they do, obviously Wan-Bissaka's the man. You have to go and get him out of Manchester United. But you know what Manchester United are like? They play hard ball. We know that with Lingard. and they always do with their players. So I agree with what you're saying. Let's have a look. To be fair though, I agree on Keane. Remember, Dawson couldn't even get into the Watford team in the championship. Yeah, I agree on that. I really do. Let's start off. Let's go to the top and start off this man. The Stoke bloke. The Stoke bloke is the Australian national, Harry Shutter, is it, or Shooter, or whatever his name is. He done all right in the World Cup for Australia, but you're taking a risk, ain't you, on a player? I think West Ham need a decent centre half. Like when it is with Zuma for me, and I will get to all your comments. West Ham need a good centre half to have perfect cover for Aguerd and Zuma. At the minute, we are just picking up injuries galore in defensive positions, and we've got a bit of a problem there. Like, and someone who comes in has to be better than Dawson. They have to be better in in a lot of things. Now, people will say this. They will say, well, Dawson needs to go. His time's done at West Ham. I agree, but we do. If we're going to go for someone, we need to go for someone for not just the short term, but long term. I'd rather West Ham go out and spend a bit of money on someone who can come in and develop and be a player. Now, is it that Stoke lad? Possibly. Like that Stoke lad could come in and do the job. But I don't think he's ready for the Premier League, if I'm being honest, if you want me to be truthfully honest on that one. So I would like someone else, like maybe go up to Manchester United and see if we can get someone out of there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people will laugh about the Harry Maguire situation, but I would take Harry Maguire like in a heartbeat at West Ham. I think he's perfect for West Ham. But the way we play, we need two solid centre halves at the back. One thing I will say, since Aguerd has been in this side, there ain't no sort of denying it. We have looked a bit better defensively, not majorly, but a little bit better. That's a good shout. Courtney Hall's from Villa wouldn't be a bad shout. We need someone who's a bit more energetic or along that line. Do you know what I'm saying? I just think going for these sort of players who are sort of old school footballers, we need someone who's got a bit of pace about them, especially at the back. Let's get down to the comments. Have a look. Small club West Ham in relegation battle. Spurs rocking in top four. Fair enough. What we got? Wan-Bissaka's is going back to Palace by the looks of it, which is disappointing. Should have been on that immediately. Such a shame. If that's the case, and he's going back to Crystal Palace, that's a missed opportunity. I don't know why West Ham just why they sit on their hands for some reason. Right? They sit on their hands and just wait for something to happen. Like, we have got a good right back. His name's Harrison Ashby, but he wants out the door. So this is a big problem at West Ham at the minute. It really is. I will say that. It really is. Let's have a look. What else we got here? Why is that doing like that? Let's get like that. That's sorted out. We're going to go for Moffey instead of El Nesyri. Yeah, obviously Mark Noble's recommended him, hasn't he? Which is good. If Mark's recommended him, there must be something in it. Do you know what I'm saying? Everton supporters will pay Keane's cab fare to get him out of the club. Unbelievable. I called Rico Henry a long time ago. Anyone who sort of followed me on my channel for a long time, me, Scott Venn, a few others, even Mitchell, I think, to a point, turned around and said that Rico Henry would have been a good signing for West Ham. But for some reason, West Ham just not looking at left back positions. They either don't know how to find a left back, or they've just got no idea of a left back who's available. Do you know what I mean? I've seen certain people like Max Aarons. There's a problem why Max Aarons is still in Norwich. Like, I think Max Aarons is okay, but he's not the solution. I will say that. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like, I'm a bit concerned about it. I really am. I do like that man and all. Walter Peters at Southampton. I think he's a good shout. Obviously, Spence at Spurs would be a good shout. Can't get in their team, not playing any games, looking for a way out. But it's the old thing again. Spurs won't sell him to us. If they do, they're going to put a lot of money on him for what he is really. Ashby is the answer. But a manager, for some reason, doesn't think anyone under the age of 25 can play football. Good point. Very good point. Apparently, Newcastle don't want to pay the money we want and want to take it to an arbitration in the summer. If that is the case, then I will just get rid of him somehow. I'll just sell him. We obviously do need someone. Like off the top of my head, see, there's certain players at certain clubs West Ham should have been in there looking at straight away. Like the player that I look at, especially at Manchester City, is Rico Lewis. I think his name is decent player, very very good. Like he's coming to the Manchester City fold, but he ain't going to start all the time. When Manchester City are playing games regularly, sort of week in week out, is he going to play? I don't think he does. So I wouldn't mind getting a little loan for him or something. Do you know what I mean? We need one thing I will say, by the time the window shuts, West Ham should have at least one or if not two signings. Now, who they are, I've got no idea. Do you know what I mean? How many loans do we think we will make this window? If we make two signings in this window, whether they're loans, I'll be over the moon with that. That's for me. That's on me, really. Let's have a look. What else we got here? I'd have to see Vorhurst at West Ham. Typical Moyes target man. It's going to Manchester United, mate. Who would have thought that would have happened a long, long time ago, which is quite shocking, really. Dutch, solid, good, half decent striker. Didn't really cut it at Burnley, I will say that. But, you know, it is what it is with that. But like I say, left back, right back are major things. Epic says we're not going to sign anyone. If we don't sign anyone, then I do fear for us. That's one thing I will say. If we don't sign no players this window, I'll be thinking, well, what are you seeing? Like West Ham need to get a couple of loans in, just something to boost the side up. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I've seen other like targets, other people, and all that. Yeah, right. We need something, don't we? Let's be honest. West Ham are showing strong interest in Liverpool's Roberto Firmino as his contract expires in the summer. I did see that the other day. I did. £16 million they want for him. He's 31. What can I say about Firmino? He's a talented footballer. He's playing like a number 10 though. Really, he's not like a natural goal scorer. He's not going to score it like loads and loads of goals for you, but he will make a lot of goals and he will also bring others into play. I think that's not a bad signing. Like really, if West Ham want to be ambitious, do you know what I'm saying? West Ham need to have something to sort of boost the side. They really do. They really, really do. What's it? Firmino, sick note. I don't know about that, mate. I think he's not a bad player himself. Like, do you know what I mean? Liverpool fans will say when they had him, Salah and Mane, they were probably the best attack in the whole league, like front three. So if he's fit, he's firing, I would have him all day long. Do you know what I'm saying? Who else we got? Why would they sell him though? They're struggling, and they've been he's one of their best players this season. Why anything's bad happens to us is a joke. Firmino, a combo though. I think it's not a bad shout. Would Firmino come in and well, would he sign for West Ham? That's the first question you got to ask yourself. Where we are right now, I'd say the answer to that is no. I don't think he goes. I don't think he would come to us right now, if I'm being honest. Right, especially the way we're playing and everything. Is it a good signing? 100% it is, mate. Like you can play him as a number 10 in a 4-2-3-1, but it's just square pegs round holes again, isn't it? That's the only thing it seems like to me at the minute. It's just square pegs and round holes. Like we bring him in, but then we're still not sorted out the Bowen situation, the right back, the left back, things like that. So yeah, rescue Wan-Bissaka right now. He's looking like he's on his way to Palace. What have we got here? Let's have a look. See if I can get all these out. Last season, the 18th team had 17 losses. We have 11. You can't convince me that we won't lose at least 6 more times this season. Good point, Epic. Very good point, mate. That's a worrying stat there, Epic. I will say that. Not a bad shout. Liverpool, defensively, he can be iffy. Going forward, he's excellent. He really, really is. I would look at like, a couple of Chelsea players, even. Do you know what I'm saying? See if Chelsea want to get rid of any like players who sit on their bench. But it's very hard just to pick out a sort of player at the minute for West Ham because we just don't know what style of play we're playing. No Firmino, too slow. Why are we always looking at slow players? I think it's not so much that he's slow. I think it's what he does. He brings people into play. He picks up good pockets of space. Is he like a Paqueta type player? Possibly. So maybe you got a point there. But I don't know. I just look at him and I think we need something to get the fans sort of buzzing again. If we do sign anyone, it's most probably likely to be from the Championship. The problem is with that, and it's not a bad shout. If we do sign people from the Championship, are they going to be ready to come in straight away? Like, I think that, as I say, the left back situation is a problem. If Dawson goes, we've got to make sure we've got to get a replacement for him straight away. Like, if Dawson leaves this club, West Ham should have a replacement ready right now. Like, they should be working on a replacement. Play the game on Saturday against Wolves. Get that done on Monday morning. Sort out all the details, and then basically we should get rid of Dawson and have a new player ready to go. Do you know what I'm saying? Will we though? That's a different story altogether. Highly doubt it. Let's have a look. Let's get to your comments. See what you've got to say. Jamal Lewis from Newcastle, left back. Remember him at Norwich? That's not good enough, mate. If I'm honest, he really ain't. He really ain't. Not for me. Not for me at all. Like, there is left backs. Jimbo, would you take Jack Elton on loan? 100%, mate. I want to get him on the channel, but you know, he doesn't want to come on for some reason. Mazawaku coming back, he's better than Emerson for me. See, Mazawaku could come back and be that sort of left wing back player that we're crying out for. So that could be a problem. And also, that's not a valid point, but what Gary's just said there about Mazawaku. If Mazawaku does come back and West Ham get rid of Dawson, West Ham want to play three at the back, they're not really up or down, really, if I'm honest. Because you bring Mazawaku and you put him on as a left wing back and you go three at the back to say, for argument's sake, Aguerd, Cresswell and Zuma or whatever. Just say them three, for instance. Then you've still got quite a lot of cover. You've still got Bonner on the bench, Kira, other people to come on if you have to. So, yeah, but it says it all when our loan player comes back and he could possibly come back into our team. Do you know what I mean? Drain Hull, hope you are well. Evening all. I feel we need to take a gamble on a quick, hungry centre forward that can hold the ball up and play on his own. Look at the 18-year-old is Brighton. I agree. Brighton are the masters of finding talent. That's one thing I will say. Like Tariq Lamptey is up there. Like, he's not a bad shout. Do you know what I'm saying? But also they have to fit into the system. So yeah. Right. I can jump on now, mate, if you like. Send me a message on. Oh, hold on 1 second. Right, I'm back in the room. It should be sent with you, mate. So yeah, jump on when you want. Let's go to the top and have a look, see what everyone's saying. How many players do you think we will bring in this season, James? Well, this window. I think we need 2 or 3, mate. If I'm honest, I think we need a left back, a right back, and a centre forward. I think midfield. I think Souček's here for another X amount of time. And I think we're going to have to try and work around players that might want to leave also. So, yeah. Conor Gallagher's last 2 games, he's been running around like a headless chicken, and Mount looks like he wants out. Mason Mount wouldn't be a bad shout for West Ham, I'll tell you that now. That's another story. Forget Firmino, his wages are way too high for us. I agree on that. I mean, could possibly be. We should all be over Brendan Diaz from Blackburn. Now, listen, anyone who knows me, I've done the Spaces in the summer. I was totally against this man, right? I was like, no, but I don't want him at the club. Then he scores the goal against us and knocks us out the cup. So a lot of stick on social media on that. Um, he's not even in the betting running, mate. At West Ham, Diaz. That's one thing I will say. He's literally there's no book on him to come to West Ham at all. I cannot find no odds on any firms that I've looked at for him coming to West Ham. So it really looks like West Ham have said no to him altogether. So yeah, I don't think Diaz is an option, mate, for West Ham, if I'm being honest. And if you said to me right now, would you have him? I think I actually would. I think my opinion would actually change. So yeah, like, it's a bit of a strange one for me. Let's add Tommy in. Tommy, how are you doing, mate?
Good, mate. And you?
Good. Talking about transfer targets, mate. Dawson wants out. El Nesyri says no. What are you saying for it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the Dawson thing is expected. I think we knew he would leave either in this window or in the summer at the latest. That's fine, you know, if we understand his situation. He wants to be close to his family, which is fair enough. But like you, I think you said earlier, I was driving, kind of trying to listen, but I think you were saying earlier, like, I agree that if we're going to replace Dawson long term, I think we need a younger centre back. Who's going to be one for the future rather than just bringing in another 30-something stopgap. You know, I'd like to see a younger player coming in. You know, I don't want to see all this crap about Michael Keane and all these kind of players. It's just not for me. Why not, you know, go out and get a young, promising centre back? I mean, he's going to be an understudy anyway. He's already, you know, he's going to have Aguirre and Zuma ahead of him. Oggy will be ahead of him for a little while. So let him learn for a few months, you know, and get his game time when he can, when and where he can. You know, someone who's young and promising and looks like he could be a top class centre back. I know you mentioned the Australian lad at Stoke. I think he's only 24, but the rumour has it they're looking at around 25 million for him, which it's just not going to happen. You know, that's crazy money for someone who's not proven at that level. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Is there a possibility that West Ham don't bring another defender in for you?
Yes, there is a possibility. I think Moyes will want to, though. I think because he does. I think we're going to see the wing back system again this season. Probably not every game. I think we're going to see it again, and I think he's going to want to make sure that he's got players there. But like I say, Kerr is there as well, so you know he can play centre back. You know, that's four. That can straight away. That's still four that can play centre back. You know, if you're playing, you know, Johnson can play as the right side of centre back at a push in a three if you want him to do that. We've seen Cresswell play as the left side of centre back, so we wouldn't have to, frankly. I don't think we would need one in the second half of the season. You could always take another look at it in the summer, but I don't think we have to replace Dawson, frankly. I'd be much more concerned about getting some fullbacks in.
Totally agree. I just want to say this, Steve Bell, thank you very much, mate. I really do appreciate it. The support you give, mate, 100%. Thank you. Totally agree with you. I think, I don't know how many times that you've done it on different channels. I've done it on this channel. I've done it on Spaces. You've probably done it on Spaces. How many times we've mentioned about a left back at this club and we still can't find one? It's like beggars belief to me. It really is.
Yeah, it's kind of negligence at this point. It really is. I mean, we shouldn't still be playing Cresswell at left back. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Emerson is not good enough to play week in, week out at left back. I don't mind Emerson as much as a wing back, but I don't want to see him as a full back. I don't think he's defensively strong enough. So it's criminal, really, that we haven't addressed this yet. And you know, if we're going to spend money in January, I think it has to be on a left back. I think that's a priority position. I also think we need to sort out the right back position in the summer. Get a really good right back in who's going to hold down that position for a long time, who's a quality player. Because look, you can bring in 20 centre backs who are all really good, and it won't matter as long as we are very vulnerable down the flanks, because that's where teams will just keep targeting us, and it's going to keep costing us goals. So that's the real urgent priority for me in this window. If we were going to sign 2 players, for me it would have to be a left back first and foremost, and we need a striker in.
Totally agree. It's Moyes. He does not want to drop or permanently replace Criswell, even though he's clearly past it. The thing is, and I agree with what Gemma's saying here, yeah, about Borna Souza, like the Croatian. Really, we should go to the Croatian national team and get their left back and right back in. Like the one plays for Celtic and the other one plays for out in Germany, I think it is somewhere. So I just don't understand why West Ham are hesitating. But is that on Moyes though, Tommy? Really?
Yeah, it is on Moyes, because being in control really of largely of what players come in. No, and look, I know that there's Rob Newman is kind of identifying players, but I'm sure Newman and Moyes speak to each other. They
must do, yeah.
And Moyes, there's nothing to stop Moyes going to Rob Newman and saying, "Look, we have to get a left back. It's a matter of urgency. You've got to find a left back that's going to be really good, solid left back for us, who's good defensively and has the legs to get up and down the pitch and contribute, getting forward as well and getting crosses in and linking up with Benny on that side or whoever's over that side." And Rob Newman, I'm sure, will say, "Yeah, okay, I'll go find you some options for that position." And then come back to Moyes and say, "Look, these are the players we might be able to get for you." But it doesn't seem to have been any of that, because we've been linked with plenty of fullbacks, particularly left backs, last couple of seasons, but I can't remember any solid bids, to be honest. I think there may have been one. Was there one early in the summer or last January? It was that lad at Frankfurt. I think he ended up going to Italy, didn't he? To Juve,
that's right. Kostic.
Yes, Philip Kostic. Yeah. We were looking at him. Apparently, that didn't work out, and apparently since then we've just kind of Moyes seems to have thrown his hat at it, really.
It's like a scatter. It's like a scattergun approach, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just like throwing it out there and going whatever we can find, wherever, sort of thing.
I mean, like if you're a Premier League team, especially one that's playing in Europe, I will not accept any excuses that you could not find a player for any position. We are in a very strong position to take players from other clubs. Very strong position. Despite our league position right now, we're still in a very strong position as a Premier League team who are playing in Europe. If there are players out there that we really like, we can go and take them from most clubs. We've got the money, we've got the draw, being a Premier League team who's in Europe. There's no excuse for this bullshit about we can't find one. I mean, it just doesn't fly.
Like Kev says here, James, the board is selling up, so why would they, or why should they spend? It's not a case of them spending. I'm not worried about if they don't spend a penny in this window, as long as they get a couple of loans in. I'm not worried about. It's not about the money. It's about the personnel. We need the personnel in here. When you look at our defence, and you do go through that defence. That defence is fragile for a reason, and that's why we've conceded loads of goals this year. Don't get me wrong. Aguerd coming back's a massive boost. I think Aguerd slots in his defence and he makes it a lot better, a hell of a lot better. But the problem is we've got a lot of players who are so susceptible to injuries straight away. They seem to come to West Ham and pick up an injury and they're out for ages. This ain't like a short-term injury. These are 2-3 months. And let's be honest, we've got 5 months to the season end, so we're going to need to have some sort of personnel here to sort of see us over the line, basically. What do you reckon, Tom?
Yeah, we will. We're going to have to do something in the window. I mean, I think I'd worry for us if we continue on in this window with essentially now we're playing with one striker, James. You know what I mean? Like Antonio's finished. Antonio's finished. He's not the player he was a couple of seasons ago. He doesn't score any goals. We've got to get a proper backup in for Scamacca. And like I said, I mean, we need a left back as a matter of urgency because Cresswell looks like he's hit the wall and he cannot really defend. And he's not even getting the assists now and getting the crosses in like he used to going forward. Whereas before I'd have said, okay, he's not brilliant defensively, but his set piece deliveries and his crosses are brilliant. But we're not really even seeing that from him at the moment, this season. So we've got to sort this out. Yeah, because I think, with if we can keep Aguerd and Zuma together for the rest of the season, then I think we'll be in good shape at centre back. But we're still going to be, teams are just going to be targeting us down the flanks all season because we're weak there, and it's going to keep costing us. And I'll be really worried if we don't sort that out and get a striker in to back up Skamaka. If Skamaka goes down, we're struggling for goals as it is, and he seems to be the only kind of bright spark up there who knows where the net is, and maybe Benny as well to a lesser degree.
If he goes down,
if Skamaka goes down, who's going to score any goals?
Totally agree. If he goes down, Declan Rice goes down, I do fear for us. I won't lie. Like, that's not me being negative and all this bollocks. If any of them pick up an injury, and I will ask you, obviously we'll do a preview on Thursday, but I will ask you about the games coming up. But I think West Ham just needs to get this Wolves game out of the way, and I expect at least a signing before the Everton game. Like, we have to get a signing in the door right now. It's just, I don't know why West Ham are waiting for so long. It's like they're waiting for something to happen before they act, instead of, like, they're being reactionary rather than proactive.
I'll just throw this out there. What it could be, James, is that they might not want to sign a player for Moyes because I think if we lose at Wolves, I think he'll get sacked. I think they're going to wait and see what happens in that Wolves game. And I think if we win that and get the 3 points, I think they'll feel that we probably or very possibly could win at home against Everton as well. And they'll figure, okay, he's going to be here for another little while. But I think if he loses at Wolves, I think they'll sack him. So I think this week they're probably not going to get any player in for him because he might not be the manager in a few days' time.
If that is the case, and they do, just say for argument's sake, they do that, that is a major gamble, isn't it? Really, like what's the date today? The 10th, is it? It's the 10th. It's the 10th of January today, I think it is, right? But I don't think he's going anywhere, right? And that's what irritates me, because I think if we pin all our ropes on the Wolves game and it doesn't work out, then he goes. Then you've got to get a new manager in. Then you've got to get a new manager in with new players who he wants. Like it's rushed, isn't it? And I just don't see it myself. I really don't.
Yeah, and this is why I've been speaking about how ridiculous the way our club is run is. I spoke to you about this before. In my opinion, the manager should not be choosing the players, because you end up, as I said to you before, on this merry-go-round of changing up the squad all the time. So, Moyes gets sacked, new manager comes in, doesn't fancy 6 or 7 of the players, says, oh, they've all got to go, and I've got to bring in my 6 or 7 players that suit me. It's a crazy situation. The manager should not have very much to do with the signings, apart from maybe saying, look, I could really use a left-back. And then the club will say, okay, we can see that. We're a bit short there. We're a bit weak there. We'll go and get a left back. But the manager shouldn't be choosing who that player is. We should have a continuation of style of play and an identity at the club from under 10s in the youth team all the way up to the senior team. This is how we play football, right? And we develop our players with that in mind, and we sign players with that in mind, that they can play the West Ham way. And we sign managers who can play the West Ham way, who like their teams set up the West Ham way. Like we like seeing the ball down on the ground, pass it around, have a go to a degree, attacking style, shall we say? Say like Brighton style right now. I'd love to see us playing like Brighton. Brighton did that. Brighton already knew who their manager was going to be when they inevitably lost Graham Potter because of the job he was doing, and they had already identified De Zerbi, who plays the same style of football that they were already playing with Potter. And as soon as Potter was gone, De Zerbi was in. They haven't skipped a beat, Brighton. You wouldn't even know they had changed managers.
And that is a valid point.
That's the problem at our club. We should be bringing in a player now, a striker, a left back, regardless of whether Moyes is going to be here or not, because we should have a manager who's playing the way we want to play the game as a club. Yeah. And the next manager we've got lined up comes in, plays the same style, can just hit the ground running, same system, and it should be seamless the way Brighton have done it.
I totally agree. When you do look at Brighton and you look at the way they play, right, you wouldn't even think that they have changed managers. And not only have they changed managers, they've got players who really sort of could be on their way to Chelsea, like who could be having half an eye on that going to Chelsea. I agree. I really do.
They already know.
Ne-
Brighton already know which players are in danger of losing, and they already know who will replace them when they're gone.
yeah, 100%. And they don't muck about. Who was it they lost before? They lost Ben White, I think it was. They was
They lost
out.
Ben White. They lost Cucurella.
Yeah, and they already identified their targets well before
Yeah.
they even was at the door. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I understand it, mate. What striker would you like then, Tommy? Like, because obviously El Nesri's been mentioned again. It ain't going to happen because
No.
he don't want to come here. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's
Yeah,
that's been blown out of water.
Yeah, he's really settled in Spain.
Yeah.
You know, his family are settled. They've learned to speak the language, and he wants to stay in Spain, I believe. So that's not going to happen. Don't know who's really available at the moment. I know there's talk of Danny Ings. I'll take Danny Ings. He's a goal scorer. You know, Danny Ings knows where the net is. If we could get something done for Danny Ings, I'll be very happy with that. I understand he has had his issues injury-wise, but if he's a backup striker, it's going to be less of an issue because he's not going to be getting as many minutes. You know, Skamaka will be the number one striker, so Ings will be there to come off the bench. He's less likely to pick up an injury that way. And he's a great player to be able to bring on if you want to go two up top, if you really need a goal. You know, Danny Ings, you give him an opportunity, there's a good chance he'll find the net for you. He's proven in the Premier League. And my other worry, if we don't go for Danny Ings, is that he'll go back to Southampton or he'll go to Everton, one of our relegation rivals. And if he starts banging in goals for them, that could spell bad news for us.
Yeah, I totally agree. Whatever West Ham do in this transfer window, they have to do it fast. But I honestly think, after the Leeds game, they should have been on this to get someone in for the Wolves away game. Right, this week, right, the man should be here in training, ready to go. In my opinion, I think like the Brentford game, you can overshadow that and go, you know what, it's a cup game, it's not a problem. But for me, it's like
the problem is, James, like David Moyes thinks he's all right. David Moyes thinks he's all right up front. He says, Skamaka's fit, got Antonio, can chuck Bowen up there if I have to. Corney might be back eventually. He can play up top if I need him to. None of them good options up front. They're not strikers. None of them are strikers apart from Skamaka. And also at left back, he probably thinks Cresswell's still doing fine.
Yeah. Now, Bamba Dieng, he was at Marseille, I think it was. He's not bad. Senegalese, I think he is, international. Not a bad player. But it's like, it's just, they should be here already. That's the one thing that irritates me with this club. It just seems like, for instance, Cody Gakpo was signed, sealed, done on the 29th of December. And he was ready, on the 1st of January, he was going to be a Liverpool player. And West Ham should be acting like that, and they just don't. Obviously,
no, look, I mean, you're right. I mean, look, I can throw out a couple of names if you ask me about strikers, but, you know, I don't have any kind of list of strikers. I'm not a scout. You know, I haven't been scouting around Europe for, you know, strikers. The club should have been doing that. The club should have a list of strikers, you know, that can come in. Again, you know, preferably, you know, someone young who looks up and coming, who's maybe doing a great job in Belgium or a great job in Holland or in France.
Or in the Championship.
Who looks, or the Championship, who looks a bit tasty. And, you know, you think, come in, young player, he looks like he's really got something about him. Someone we can take a punt on, you know, who's going to cost us 15 million quid. I mean, who gives a shit? 15 million quid, right? If it doesn't work out and he's a bust, we probably still get 10 back for him from someone. You know what I mean? 100%. So it's like, you know, find these players. I mean, this is what the club should be doing. And so that when we need a striker in January, we can go and we've got these 2 or 3 strikers that we really like that we can bring in. But like to say, I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, the January window, we're not great in the summer window, but the January transfer window, typically we've been really poor. And like I say, it's the 10th. We're a week and a half into it already. No sign of any movement whatsoever.
And it's the players and all that want out the door, which is more of an issue also. It's not so much, listen, the players coming in, don't get me wrong, we need players. I agree. But the players who want out, there's so many players in this club who are either past it, don't want to be here, or they're just not good enough anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like for instance, I look at Lanzini. Lanzini's been a good servant to West Ham, but he should have been replaced. You just don't see him anymore. Like in either team, like even in the conference. And let's be honest, this year, this year, for instance, West Ham are going to be playing their full strength side every week near enough, because like you've got the Conference League, and then if we're fighting in the Premier League, we can't afford to have passengers. Like that's one thing I will say. So
we can't. You know, if we're still fighting against relegation, we can't afford any kind of major rotation.
100%.
You can't. You know, like last season, Miles could say, "Yeah, look, maybe I did sacrifice a couple of league games because we had massive games coming up in the Europa League. Can't do that this season. We have to put a full strength side out in the Premier League, whether we like it or not. We need the points desperately. So if we're Conference League, is he going to have to sacrifice the Conference League and rest players in the Conference League, and we get knocked out of that, and that's a potential trophy that we could have won that we've just pissed away because we don't have the players there. That we haven't. Once again, we haven't signed the players in January.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. To sort of round that up, let's talk a bit about these next two games. We will do a preview during the week, so we will discuss it a bit more. But just give us sort of what you're thinking leading up to this week, because I think this game on Saturday. I watched Wolves the other day, and I am worried, mate. I'm not gonna lie, I am shit scared worried that West Ham go up there and get absolutely smashed.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves game the other day against Liverpool. I mean, that looked to me like a new manager bounce. That looked like they were playing really well up at Anfield. It has to be said.
Yeah.
And they have struggled a bit to score goals, albeit they got two of them up there and had another one ruled out kind of controversially. So it seems like they're starting to create some chances and score a couple of goals, which would be a worry for us as well, because in any game you really worry if a team scores twice against us, that we're going to struggle to match it. Now I know we did it at Elland Road, but one was a silly tackle that gave us a penalty, and the other one was an assist from a Leeds player. So they kind of handed us a couple of goals, really. I don't think Wolves will do that. So, yeah, I'm worried about this Wolves game. Look, obviously, given where they are in the table, I think we'll be competitive in the game, and I think it is a winnable game.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be going up to Wolverhampton with any confidence that they do look they've picked up Wolves and that they're playing some really good stuff. And again, they're going to target us down the flanks. They know we're weak in the full-back positions. They're not stupid. They'll target us down there. He may play Adama Traore out wide on the right and figure that he's going to absolutely tear as well a new one. It'll be interesting to see if Moyes goes as wing-backs again, or if he reverts to a flat-back four. So we'll see what happens there. But again, I'd be worried about this, and I wouldn't be, despite the point it leads and the win away to Brentford. I think there's a little asterisk over both those results. Like I said, Leeds handed us a couple of goals. The Brentford game, they just surprisingly for me they weren't interested. They made 7 changes, and we beat them 1-0 with our only shot on target. So despite the fact we've got a win in the cup and a point at Leeds, I don't think that means we've turned a corner. I think it's far too soon to say anything like that. So I'm still worried whenever we play, particularly away from home. So I'm not confident going up there. If I'm completely honest, James, I think it's entirely likely that Wolves will beat us up at Molineux. They desperately need the points, remember. I mean, they're going to be going all out to win that game, like all out. And the way they played at Anfield, I'd be a bit worried.
Is that his first home game in charge? Is it? I thought, or was it his second? I think it might be his second. I'm not too sure.
Second.
Anyone, yeah.
Second,
I think it is his second. Obviously, we all know about this manager because he was the Seville manager last year. I agree with you totally on this one. I am nervous about this game because if we go up there and we concede early, we're done. We're done because we just don't look like we're going to score 2 goals.
Yeah, and we
Any
can't draw
questions?
this game, James, either.
Yeah,
A point is no good to us up there. Do you know,
yeah,
in certain circumstances, a point away at Wolves, you could say, okay, it's an acceptable result. It's not acceptable on Saturday.
mm,
We have to get 3 points now. No more excuses. We've got to start winning games, because the more games that pass without us winning, the deeper the shit we're in. This run of games we've got coming after Everton, you know, is a bit scary. So
it is a
we have to get 6 points from our next two games. We've got to.
totally agree. Totally agree. Here's a question for you, Tommy. Yeah, Craig Dawson's been linked with Wolves. Do you play him in this game or not?
Yes. Well, I mean, it depends. If I'm going playing three at the back, I'll play him. I'd have no qualms about that. Look, I'd have no worries about Dawson as a professional. You know,
Yeah.
I'd have no worries about him. I think he'll always give 100%, Craig. I wouldn't worry about him in that regard. So if we're going with three centre backs, I would absolutely play him. If we're going with two centre backs, then it's a moot point, because I think it's going to be Aguerd and Zuma. I think Zuma will be back for this one, so he's back in training. I think he'll be good to go. So yeah, but I would play Dawes, no problem. I think he wouldn't let us down. I would think. Yeah.
Yeah, I listen. It's an interesting one for me on that one. It really is. I'm a bit sort of 50-50 on it. I'm like, do you really want to play a player who could possibly be playing be holding a Wolves shirt up on the Monday morning? It's like, I'm not knocking his professionalism. Don't get me wrong. I think he's been excellent. But we need the points, and we just don't need no mistakes.
Yeah, we don't need a centre back who's trying to mind himself, do we?
That's what I'm saying. And obviously, if he wants to move, he has to be fit for the move also. So he doesn't want to go and put in any sort of rash tackles or injuries or anything like that. So, yeah, it's an interesting one for me. It really is. How many signings do you reckon we will get then, Tommy, to round this up? Are you saying none, 1, 2 or more?
How many points from the next two, is it?
How many signings?
Oh, sorry, signing. I do think we'll do a bit of business. I think maybe two players.
Yeah.
Potentially both on loan. You know, I'm not sure we'll make any permanent signings. Again, I think the board are going to be a bit reticent to make permanent signings for Moyes. I think they'd feel a bit easier in getting a couple of loan signings in, which we should be able to do. We should be able to get a couple of loanees in, but I think maybe two. It'll be one or two. I don't see any more than that. Won't be surprised if it's just one.
Yeah, I actually think we will get one signing. I don't think. I think what it is. I think the board are like you just said just a minute ago about Moyes. How can you sort of go and get signings in if you just don't know who your manager is going to be? But if that is the case, it's one of the worst decisions I've ever seen done under a football management ever. Like you've had all that time to sort of plan this, and then you just go and get rid of him. I do agree with what you said about the Wolves game. Also, I think the next two games we have to get 6. I don't think we get 6. I think we'll be lucky if we get 3. If I'm being honest. I'll take. If someone said to me right now, we get 4 points at the next 2, I'll literally take that and try and move on. But something Epic said, I don't know whether Epic's in the chat.
The thing is, I don't think 4 is enough for them games.
Enough.
I really don't. I think we have to win both, because it's the run of games after that.
Yeah.
Where we could, like, those 4 points could disappear very, very quickly over the next 4 games.
Yeah.
You know, and we're in the relegation zone after those games. I think, for me, I think he's gone if he doesn't win at Wolves. I really do. I think if he draws at Wolves, I think they'll sack him.
Do you know what? I understand what you're saying, but I just don't see it, Tommy. I really don't, because I can't see them sacking him, bringing another manager in. Sorry, and then the manager's got unless they've already got someone lined up. That's the only thing I can think of. Unless they've got someone lined up for Monday morning, and he said if this goes wrong, he's sacked. You're in Monday morning, and then by the end of the week, you could have a couple of players. It's not out without the realms of possibility, but I'm thinking if that happens, that is just madness, really. When you could have had all this time, like you could have done it after the Leeds game.
Yeah, but see, James, like, this is the thing, James. When it comes to the board, I mean, like, what the fuck are they doing? Yeah. Listen, they had to do one of two things before this January transfer window.
Yeah,
They had to either sack him and back the new manager in the January transfer window, or they had to back him and back Moyes in this transfer window. So if we end up with a situation where they've given him these games since we've come back from the World Cup break, and he gets sacked like halfway through the window, and now we've got a manager coming in, and we're trying to figure out from this manager, all right, what do you want? You know, he has to. How's he going to assess the squad? Have a look at what he's got and say, okay, I think I need this or I need this. We're going to be doing the usual fucking bullshit of very late scrambling in the final week of the transfer window as the deadline is approaching, trying to get some players in for the new manager. It's a fucking joke.
It is mad, mate. I must admit. Just a question: with 20 games left, do you think we can get 23 points? That would put us in a great spot for staying up. Do you know what? Thanks, Scott, for the comment. Yeah, us sitting here now on January the 10th, thinking about staying up. It's just, who would have thought it a year ago? it's just unreal. What do you reckon on that, Tommy? 23 points. Can West Ham get 23 points out of the remaining 20 games?
Not under Moyes, in my opinion. Not with David Moyes in charge. I genuinely think he's going to get us relegated if we keep him for the full season. You know, I'm like for example, like if we lose at Wolves and we're exactly halfway through the season on 15 points, you know, we are bang in trouble. We'll have a look at this run of games we've got coming up. I did on my show last Friday night. I looked at, I think it was the next 10 fixtures.
Yeah.
That we've come in, and I tried to predict.
I think it's Newcastle. If I remember rightly, I think it's Newcastle. Chelsea's in there. I think Spurs is in there at one stage.
A lot. We've got Villa. We've got Southampton. We've got Southampton away. I think Villa at home. There's tough games in there. Like there's a lot of tough games in there. I think I predicted from the next 10 games about 13 points. Like the way we're playing, and that was being, you know, that was me trying not to be too pessimistic. That was me trying to be a little bit optimistic. I gave us a point at Tottenham, you know, because we for some reason we play well against Tottenham usually, but we could lose at Tottenham. I give us a point at home to Chelsea because they're a bit shit at the moment, but they could have a new manager by then, or Potter could have sorted them out a bit. They could be playing a lot better. We might get nothing there. You know, so we could get less than 13 points in the next 10 games. But I think under Moyes, I think we're fucked, if I'm honest.
Do you know what? I've done a space earlier on today. Really, really good space. One of the best spaces I've ever done. I had Nicky Hawkins on there. I had quite a big space. I even made it on Twitter. Someone screenshotted my channel and saying, like, how can a man speak about West Ham every day? I can, because I'm quite wealthy. I can do this for fucking part time. So just want to put that out there. Thank you very much. Listen, the next 10 games are massive. I see what someone said here, like E. Davis. I can't believe we're talking about being relegated. Third highest spend in the world, mate. And it is madness. I must admit. You
remember, James? We had last time you had me on.
Yeah.
I was ridiculing the club for that because I said they're going to spend all this money bringing in really good players and building up a really good top 10 squad that can potentially challenge for a European place, and then scrimp on the manager. Have a manager who's incapable of fulfilling their potential and not be willing to just sack his arse and go out and get the manager who can actually get this squad playing to their potential and fulfilling their potential. Paying all that money for players and then scrimping on the manager who just can't get a tune out of them. It's bizarre.
It is madness, I must admit. West Ham, Jordan. It would be so West Ham to win the Conference League and get relegated. Jordan, hope you're well, man. Hope you're well. I totally agree.
If Moyes is here, we're not winning any Conference League. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Listen, it is the West Ham way, though. That is just typical West Ham. That would be go and do unbelievable in Europe, or even get to a final and then get relegated.
Yeah. Has any Championship team ever played in the Europa League?
Millwall did. I think they got to the final of the FA Cup, and I think they lost, but they did go through somehow. I think they were already in Europe, and it handed over to Millwall or something. I think Wigan did. They won. Wigan,
Wigan went down when they won the FA Cup, didn't they?
Yeah, cheers, Jordan. Hope you're well, man. Listen, the way I look at it is, yeah, and I do agree with you. And even Nicky said it earlier on today. And I do like Nicky Hawkins. I must admit, he's a really good geezer. He turned around and said this is a major concern with West Ham. And I've been doing a few spaces recently, and I've turned around to a few of the lads, and I did say, have West Ham got the players for a relegation fight? Like Paqueta, Skamaka, like someone said it in the space. They said, James, I would want the old guard in there, like your Fornelses and like Lanzini, for instance, as we were going to run around and fight for the shirt, like because if we get in a relegation battle, all these
Flynn
players,
Downs. Yeah.
even Flynn, yeah, like Flynn has to play games, but I just don't understand why he don't really. I really don't.
Because, well, we all know why. It's fucking because of his loving with Souček.
Yeah, it is because of that.
I'm convinced. I bet you, like he at some point back in his history, David Moyes, he knocked up some fucking Czech bird, and you know, Miss Souček, wherever he was, and now he's signed his love child, and now he plays every week.
It's just it is a major concern. Like obviously, like I don't want to be sort of speaking really negative about it, but we have to be sort of real about it also. That there is like West Ham shouldn't be looking in this situation right now. Like they shouldn't. And people say, well, we've got a point at Leeds, but the Leeds game, really, if you watch that game from start to finish, West Ham were lucky to get a point out of that game. Really,
yeah.
Like especially in the last 10 minutes of that game, we was awful. Literally, Leeds were camped in our half. It's funny. People say about Antonio. The only good thing Antonio done was clear the ball off the line. In that game.
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, we had that ball cleared off the line. Rodrigo was put through, and unfortunately hit the ball straight over Fabianski's head, so he could tip it over. Either side of him, he scores. Plus, then obviously that late, really excellent save from Fabianski right at the death to earn us a point in injury time. So yeah, I mean, Moyes went negative, sat back. I mean, even if we take the lead up in Wolves, if we've got a lead at any time, Moyes' immediate thought is going to be, right, let's protect this lead. And the inevitable will happen.
100% agree on that. As I say the other day, I called 2-1. I was sitting there. I had all my bets in play, ready to rock and roll. And I called a 2-1. And I thought, as soon as he goes and takes Skamaka off, I was like, you've just killed me, mate. Literally just done me over, like massively. Like what? And then it wasn't. I think I put a tweet up. I said, "I hope you've done the right thing here." Then within like 3 minutes, it was 2-2. I was like, "Oh, here we go, another scenario." Do you know what I'm saying? Anything else you want to discuss, Tommy, before we go, mate?
No, don't think so. Don't think there's anything else on my mind. Just
yeah. That's all right, then, mate. Nice one. Tommy, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate it. I will let you go.
No worries,
and I will wrap this up. You take it easy, mate, and all the best. Take care, man.
Cheers, bud. That
was Tommy. Go and follow him on YouTube. He's like doing his stuff on different channels. So yeah, go and check him out there. I'm going to wrap this up now. I really do appreciate everyone who's watched tonight. Dawson, he's heading north to Wolves, which is a shame. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a sad time for him to go. But, and I will say this, he's done his time at West Ham and he's been a really, really good servant to West Ham for the amount of money he cost and what he's done for this club. As I say, the goal in Lyon will always stay with us for a long, long time, and he got us on our way to a famous win in France. So he will be sadly missed. West Ham do need a replacement. Will West Ham get a replacement? I honestly don't know. I really don't know. I hope they do, but I wouldn't put money on it. Let's put it like that. That's coming from me. Obviously, Nesyri is a non-starter. It's come out earlier on that he's saying no to West Ham for about the 1200th time of like every time he gets offered. So yeah, he is no more Nesyri. So West Ham need to sort themselves out. Like, if they want to go out and get a few players, go in the Championship. There's players up in Middlesbrough who are really doing some good stuff at the minute. There's players all along the Championship who are different levels. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And it should be. You want someone who's hungry and up for it, rather than someone who's just coming in for a pay packet, really. So we will see what happens there. Anyway, enjoy your Tuesday. I won't be around tomorrow, and I'll be back Thursday to do a preview. Wolves versus us. We need a win. Will we get a win at Wolves? I'm not confident on this one. Hopefully, my mood will change on Thursday night when we do the preview. But I'm a bit nervous about this game. Is it make or break for Moyes? I honestly don't think it is. I think Moyes is here all for the season, and he will see it out to the end, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens on there. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here also. Anyway, from me to you, enjoy your Tuesday, and I will see you again in the next one. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.